All right, Tuesday. Let's get into it. In honor of the NFL Draft Week, I thought I would highlight great soldiers that were part of wars in the past as kind of a draft homage. I'm going to start today with Audie Leon Murphy. He's been described as the most highly decorated soldier in U.S. history. He received this is World War II, he received every military combat award for valor available from the United States Army, as well as the French and Belgian awards for heroism. He received the Medal of Honor for valor. He got that at the age of 19 for single-handedly holding off a company of German soldiers for an hour at the Colmar Pocket in France in January 45, before leading a successful counterattack while wounded and out of ammunition. I don't know how you do that. The craziest part is they wouldn't let him. He changed his birth date illegally to be able to be eligible to get drafted into the war.
Wow.
Was too slight, didn't weigh enough, so had to gain weight to be able to even make the army. Yeah, you ever seen Captain America?
Now look at
anyway, he saw his first action in 1943 in the invasion of Sicily. Dude was just an ultimate badass. Now we got, just a bunch of people. Our young people nowadays just suck. They're the worst.
We don't have any problem hitting the weight limit these days.
No. Heck, we got people complaining they can't fit on planes.
Wait, so he was drafted? He was drafted?
He was he signed up. He tried to sign up, but he wasn't old enough. So he falsified the documentation about his birth date in order to meet the minimum age requirement for enlisting in the military. He got turned down initially for being underweight by the Army, Navy, and the Marines, and he was eventually able to enlist in the Army. So he enlisted, and then he's credited with killing 241 enemy soldiers.
241? Wow.
Oh, boy, went bananas.
I see why he won every award.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the NFL, though. When was he drafted in the NFL?
Oh, well, funny you bring that up. He didn't play sports, but he had a 21-year acting career where he played himself in the 1955 autobiographical film To Hell and Back. All right, and it's based on his 1949 memoirs of the same name. He was also in westerns, and he bred quarter horses. So, pretty cool.
Quarter of a horse.
Yeah.
Half of a half.
They're like dwarf horses. They're dorses.
So I missed what the connection is to the. You said he was.
No, just
about the
like
NFL
the draft. Like you had the Army draft. I thought it'd be cool to just bring up. The correlation of. So I had never heard.
He probably could have played football.
Yeah. LeBron James exits his post-game press conference in frustration after another loss to the Nuggets. This time at the buzzer, the Leafs tie up their series with Boston at 1 game apiece. And Jonathan Hutton from Outkick is going to join us to discuss the 2024 NFL Draft and who could be a sneaky pick. I'm Jay Crane, and welcome to Crane & Company. Now, projecting who is going to excel in a new space or a new area is hard as hell in general, and that isn't just in sports, it's in all walks of life. But we do know there are always a couple of players in each NFL draft who end up being much better on the field than where they were drafted. And one guy in this class who I think is going to outperform his draft position is former South Carolina quarterback Spencer Rattler. He's mocked around the 76th pick in the third round. And it's not just for what he brings on the field, but also who he's become off of it. Now, I can sit here and point out the obvious that he is able to do physically. He has a really good arm, right? He's got nice arm talent. He anticipates well. He can diagnose like Dr. House and spin it like Dr. Dre. And he also had awful protection all year. He got pressured on 40% of his dropbacks last season at South Carolina with an average at best run game to lean on. And all of that is true. But I think what separates Spencer Rattler in the grand scheme of things is his growth off the field. To be honest, I wasn't a fan of the way he acted out of high school and while he was at Oklahoma. He seemed to be a prisoner of the moment, and he would dictate his leadership on whether it was going good or whether it was going bad. He seemed like more of a me guy than a we guy. And we know that a lot of young people are like that, but not all young people can change. And ever since his transfer to Coach Beamer in South Carolina, he's not only handled adversity, He's overcome it. Now, you can make the argument that he was one of the most important individuals to his team's success in the country, and not just because he played quarterback. Now, he could have shut it down or made excuses with no protection or a bad run game, but that's not what he did. He led. He took the blame, and you could see it on the field as well. He knew when to get on a guy, and he knew when to tell someone to keep their head up. There's a big difference. Now, a lot of guys act like great leaders, but deep down, they really aren't when the cameras and coaches aren't around. We all know those guys. Some are natural-born leaders, and that's great. But to me, the best leaders are the guys who transform into it. And that's what Spencer Rattler has done. And when a guy has his ability physically and a newfound mental makeup, they can be awfully dangerous on Sundays, no matter where they get picked. We're bringing my co-host, former Michigan quarterback David Cohn, my brother, former Western State Colorado wide receiver Blaine Crane. And David, when I look at Spencer, does he have the best arm in the draft? No, but his arm's good enough to make every throw. He can make the whole shot. He's a nuanced thrower. He can layer the ball in. I love the way his game translates physically, but the mental side of it, we know that 90% of the game is 100% mental. I think him going through what he went through throughout the transfer portal, throughout the off-the-field stuff, has prepared him for maybe it not going great in the NFL early.
True.
And being able to bounce back. I think there's something to be said for that, but who's a guy that's kind of sneaking under the radar?
You're spot on about Spencer Rattler off the field. He clearly had a fall from grace after being a blue-chip prospect, one of the best in the country, came in with a lot of airs about him, a lot of attitude. The template that he's created after that fall from grace, I think is one, via his attitude and the way that he's conducted himself at a place in South Carolina where he didn't have a lot of protection up front. No. It wasn't going good. That template that he's created, I think, is going to be one that a lot of other kids follow when they get humbled in college. So that's the off-the-field stuff, which I'm glad you hit on. On the field, can we bring up clip one? Because I pulled a couple clips here. These are 3 plays for Spencer Rattler, all from the same game. This is against Florida. 3 different plays in the same game that I think showcase 3 different skill sets. Go ahead and run this quickly. We got a five and a hitch hitting the sail to the boundary, right? You're talking about the arm strength. I mean, clearly he can work through his progressions. He has all the tools. Here's a 5 and an anchor, enough arm strength to be able to get the ball over the top, even with someone in his face. But then obviously, here we go, 5 and a hitch, push the pocket, get out. I mean, that's against an SEC defense, being able to make plays. So if you're a team like, let's say the New York Giants or the Raiders, who have a need at quarterback, but also have needs all around the field, and you have the same value on Spencer Rattler that you do on, say, J.J. McCarthy or Bo Nix or maybe even Drake May, and you're thinking, man, we could get the same value in early to mid round 2 that a lot of teams are going to be pushing into the top 15 for. We could go tackle there. We could go wide receiver there. That's where it's really going to get interesting to me. In terms of sneakiest picks, man, the one I pulled was Ricky Pearsall. Talking about Florida, wide receiver from Florida. Right now, I believe everybody's talking about how deep this class is at quarterback. This class is equally as deep at wide receiver.
Deepest I've ever seen.
Right now, there are 10 wide receivers projected to go before Ricky Pearsall. I pulled a couple clips from him that showcases a skill set too. Let's play this real quick. So wide receiver out of Florida. I mean, first of all, being able to high point the ball with one hand, I mean, that could be candidate for catch of the year. We were watching that game together last year. Okay, I mean, that's one hand, high point, take the hit. How about end around from the slot?
Man, just smooth.
And enough juice to finish the run, too. And then how about this catch here? Over the top, playing center field. I mean, he has all the tools. And the rest of the NFL better not let Sean McVay and the Rams draft him. Because that's the type of vibe, the Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua type vibes that he could bring to a team. I think he's going to be very sought after. And if you can get him in the mid to late second round.
And remember, you can't touch him after 5 yards. So it's not like it's going to get harder down the field. You played in the SEC. You played against NFL DB.
God, man, I love watching Slick Rick play. Just that whole, the class they had when he was their receiver was absolute. They lost one kid who was a freshman who was an absolute dog. But we're going to stay in that vein of receivers. I'm going to go with Luke McCaffrey.
Interesting.
Luke McCaffrey right now is a projected 4th-round receiver. He ran a 40 at 4.47. Came out of high school as a quarterback. Ended up switching from Nebraska to Rice as a receiver. And I don't know if that last name sounds familiar to you, but his dad, Ed McCaffrey, played receiver for the Broncos for multiple years. He has multiple brothers, not even his best one, and Christian, who's dominated the league, the best running back in the NFL. But there's something about one, hard to touch him on one-on-ones, very isolated receivers, bag is deep when it becomes to having all the routes in your bag. 2, can make plays on balls in the air, stuff that is hard to teach. 3, he used to be a quarterback. There's something about being a quarterback and making the transition to receiver in the NFL. You don't have to be the fastest, the strongest, but being the smartest. We see a lot of guys out there like this right now, the Lad McConkeys. I think Luke's going to be in the same vein as this. He gets in the right scheme, the right concept. I wouldn't be surprised to see him playing with his brother at the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, I don't ever think drafting a McCaffrey or taking a McCaffrey is like a bad. Like I don't think it's like, damn, like why would you do that? It's going to be interesting to see. I do wonder, if he's a guy. I think he can play outside and inside. Getting off press is something that I always find interesting when guys transition from quarterback, to wide receiver, because that's kind of a different skill set. But if anybody can do it, a McCaffrey can. We want to know who you think in the comments. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Who is the sneakiest under the radar player in the NFL draft? We gave you a quarterback and 2 wide receivers. Maybe you think it's a DB. Maybe you think it's a tight end. I mean, hell, you can give great examples. Brock Purdy was the last pick of the draft. Look what he's doing with the 49ers. And I don't even have to bring up Tom Brady. But if you're going to bet on the NFL draft, or I don't know, the NHL playoffs, the MLB regular season, the NBA playoffs, which was absolutely crazy last night, there's only one place for you to go. I mean, hell, you can even bet on politics if you wanted to, and that's betonline.ag. Look, we're on an absolute heater right now. I almost hit a parlay last night, but the Kings couldn't keep it on the puck line at +1.5. They got ran by the Oilers, which I knew it was going to happen when I saw them come out in those uniforms. But I had fun doing it at betonline.ag, and if you head over there right now, all right, or at some point, and use the code BOOSTER, promo code BOOSTER, BOOSTER, you get a 50% instant deposit bonus of up to $1,000. So you put $1,000 in, you get $500. That's betonline.ag and use promo code BOOSTER. BetOnline, where the options are endless, and so is the fun. All right, speaking of fun, let's get over to the club.
All right, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Chat, if you donate and it's on topic, it will get read. Mr. Charles Doss said that I'll wait till the end of the show. We're going to start it off with a guy called the Michigan Man. Good to see a little Michigan.
The Michigan Man.
He's here?
Yeah.
We found him.
He's specifically asking for you, Jake, so I'd be careful. Right now, the guard that got hurt for Michigan, what do you think his draft stock is? The name's not in here, but I know
Zach Zinter.
Zach Zinter.
Yeah.
Right now, projected a 4th rounder, could be a steal early.
Yeah.
Yeah, coming off injuries, look, we live in an era where, the medical profession has made such big leaps and bounds. I mean, you tear an ACL now, you break a tibia now, you in baseball, you tear your UCL, they can put it back together. It's always interesting with linemen because you generate so much force and you carry around so much weight and size. But I don't think it's going to be, a humongous knock or something that's going to knock him down, to the point of where somebody's just stealing him at the last second. Look, you start going Michigan and offensive line, I like the way that smells.
No doubt, man. He's going to bounce back great. I mean, I'll never forget when he went down, team huddled around him, very next play, Blake Corum takes off for a 20-plus yard touchdown against our biggest rival. Man, that's going to give a lot of people in Ann Arbor chills for a long time.
For sure.
I was going to Doug Waco. What's up, brother? Hashtag Ask Cranico. Brian Thomas falls to the Bengals. Do you think he'll be able to replace old T. Higgins?
I think Brian Thomas. Look, we talk about the depth of wide receiver in this class, and there are some physical freaks in this one. Marvin Harrison Jr. But Brian Thomas is the freakiest of the freaky when you look at his size, speed, and I don't think he's even close to tapped into what he is going to be. As much potential, and you don't see anything off the field about him that's bad, as much potential as I can remember out there, and he's coming from an offense that had Jaden Daniels, that had Malik Neighbors, but you go to the Bengals, you've got weapons around you too.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you got Jamar, you've got guys that can ball, so you don't have to be the focal point. You can kind of blend into it. But when you look at his size, can we pull up his size and his speed, his combine numbers? They are just stupid. You remember watching him at LSU. I mean, he would start hitting that long stride, and it was Gonzo the Clown. And then they had Malik on the other side and a bunch of other aliens running around on offense. The problem for LSU was they couldn't tackle a math problem in a third grade classroom.
Well, right now he'd have to fall to 49 for the Bengals to get him with that second-round pick? Because that's what you're talking
He's
about,
not
taking
gonna
him
be
second-round pick.
No way.
Right now, and they are projected to take a wide receiver right now in the second round. I was seeing.
Do they move up? Do you think they may move up?
I don't
for
think
a wide
Brian Thomas
receiver?
Jr.
I mean,
is gonna-
T. Higgins is still on the team, though.
Yeah, but it doesn't look good.
It doesn't look good, but he's going to play there this season, right? Or you think he's going to get moved in the offseason?
I think he'll get moved. I mean, I think he wants to get moved. I think the Bengals want to move him.
Well, we do have the draft coming up,
Yeah.
so you never know what could happen.
And
with
Brian
guys
Thomas,
getting
the
moved.
thing about Brian Thomas Jr. is a lot of it he gets overshadowed because what pieces he had on the
Well, Malik Neighbors is a
Malik
freak, and
Neighbors.
Jaden
And,
Daniels
like,
won the Heisman.
Brian Thomas Jr. doesn't look like he's trying hard,
No.
right? And he's that good. He ran a 4.33 40-yard dash.
How big is he?
He's 6'3", 210 pounds. 38
6'3", 210, running
38 and a
4'3".
half foot vertical jump and 10.6.
Wait, what's his vert?
38 and a half.
And his 40 is 4.3 or 4.4?
4.33.
I hope
How is this
If
guy?
Homeboy makes it to the second round, whoever gets them
Yeah.
should be
federally
as a
investigated.
president.
And then federally investigated.
Um,
I just hope everybody realizes how fast 4.33 is. And carrying around 210 pounds, running that fast, you're basically a tracer bullet. It's basically what you are.
yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. To get to 49. Plus, the Bengals need pieces, and not at wide receiver though. To me, I mean, if T. Higgins gets moved, I guess But
You know where they need help. It's on
they
that
need help
offensive,
on the offensive line and
Yeah.
on defense.
I
which-
mean, it's just
Which
Brian-
right now, I mean, they have the 18th pick, right? And they're projected Byron Murphy out of Texas. So that,
I don't think anybody's going to get pissed about that. It's
which even like that guy, how does he even fall to 18?
no, that's what. Look, this draft is really loaded at some positions. It's going to be interesting for sure.
Let's go to Horns Up. What's up, brother? He says, Jonathan Brooks had a devastating injury at the end of the year. So he moved down to a 4th or 5th round spot due to devaluing of running backs in the NFL?
Yeah.
Or do you think he's a good value pick?
Look, I don't want to sit here and hate on anybody, but hurt running backs, especially and you brought it up in kind of today's market because that's what it is. I know Jameer got taken high last year. I know Bijan got taken high last year. They can do multiple things, and they were pretty much healthy. I know Bijan, former Texas running back as well, was a little bit nicked up here and there. I think Jonathan's going to fall. I think Jonathan's going to be a good NFL back. It's just a bad time to be a hurt running back going in the draft right now.
All right, let's go to Michael from Texas. He said, could Blake Corum be a steal? Where could he best fit in the NFL?
I think he can be a good NFL running back. I don't know. At steal, for someone to steal him, I think you're talking about fifth round, right?
Yeah, he would have to fall pretty low. I mean, I think Blake Corum fits into any offensive system in the NFL. I mean, a lot of them are similar in what they do. I see the Austin Eckler comparisons because of like makeup and size. I don't know if he is as dynamic as Austin in the open field, but in the box, he's a very smart runner. He finishes downhill. He runs heavy behind his pads. With Blake, I'm interested to see him continue to become a complete back, pass protection-wise. We know he catches ball out of the backfield pretty well. As far as steal, that would have to be really late to me. Not that I don't think he's going to be a good player in the NFL. I think he's going to be a solid player. I don't think he's going to be a superstar, right? I don't see anybody saying that he is, but he would have to drop pretty far for me to consider him to be a quote-unquote steal.
All right, let's go to Alexander. What's up, brother? He says, why am I hearing all this J.J. McCarthy smoke? Really wasn't impressed with him through the year. Thought he needed another year in college.
Well, I agree with you. I think another year would have benefited him, but that is this. Everything was perfect coming back. You see what Michigan lost. You see the momentum, and we always hear the phrase "strike while the iron's hot." And I know the quarterback class is deep, but I can understand why JJ would make this jump now. And you're hearing a bunch of JJ McCarthy top 5. This team's fallen in love with him. This team's fallen in love with him. I can't make my mind up because there's 2 scenarios at work here, I think, that are possible. One, we always see teams reach for a quarterback in every NFL draft. When you have a bunch of smart people that sit around in a room, they can talk themselves into anything. We saw the housing bubble. There is no housing bubble. We'll just sit around here and do all these loans and make all these decisions. Oh no, the housing market crashed. You got a bunch of smart people in a room. Sometimes it works out like that. Not saying that JJ can't be that guy, but for example, I think JJ needs time to develop more, and sitting behind a guy in the NFL will do him wonders. I don't think you use a top 5 pick on him. That's scenario 1. Scenario 2 is This is kind of a Will Levis situation. Everybody's going to say they love him. Everybody's going to say they love him. So maybe somebody will move up or somebody ahead of them will take J.J. McCarthy, which opens the door for somebody else. So we see that every year. It's a draft day situation. So those are the two scenarios that work. I'm interested to see which one of them is actually the truth.
I've asked a couple guys in the league the exact same question because I said, hey, I watched J.J. McCarthy, one, not be asked by that Michigan offense to make the same number of NFL throws that Michael Penix Jr. was asked to make or Caleb Williams was asked to make. And then when he was asked, he missed a lot of those throws. Overthrows, underthrows, that sort of stuff. Why are we talking about J.J. McCarthy being a top 10 or even a top 5 pick? And the answer was, one, the quarterback position more and more is drafting off of potential. I think Justin Herbert was a great example of that coming out. Not so decorated, coming out of Oregon, but had all the physical tools. Josh Allen was kind of another one of those. Both of those guys have lived up to the hype. And then two, he made the throws when it mattered most, and he's a winner. And so they're these guys are comparing him, saying, hey, I know football is a team sport, and Michigan as a team is what won all those games. But at the same time, he delivered when he needed to most. And you just can't argue with a guy who goes out there and figures it out when the game's on the line.
Yeah, and I'm not blaming J.J. McCarthy. I mean, this is a great situation for him to be in, especially if he gets taken at that point, because I think he did maximize his value at the time. It's kind of like that three-point shooter, right, that doesn't shoot a lot, or that shooting guard, right, but he makes crazy shots every now and then, or he can get hot every now and then, and you're like, all right, I want to take a chance on this guy, because I've seen J.J. McCarthy make some throws where I'm like, that's an elite throw. Like this guy's got a ton of arm talent. His arm strength improved last year, which I think it needed to. But then, I think there's a difference in between what J.J. McCarthy was and what Drew Aller was at Penn State.
Sure.
J.J. McCarthy was way more dynamic than Drew Aller was at Penn State. Now, Michigan didn't throw a ball for the second half of the game because they didn't have to. Penn State didn't throw the ball a lot because they didn't have to. But when they did have to at those points, J.J. McCarthy was able to make some of those throws. I go back and think about the throws against Ohio State, some of the ones he fit in there. And it took some balls to make some of the throws that he made. But it's going to be interesting, man. These kind of back and forth, you're either on one side or the other with JJ. Is it smoke or is it fire? We'll see.
All right, let's go to Bills Mafia. It says, should the Bills make a move up in the draft after losing Stephon Diggs? Need to get another piece at wide receiver.
I mean, you almost got to, right?
To.
You got to give.
What
Josh
are they
Allen
already
now.
thin?
You got to give Josh Allen. Yeah,
they're 22nd right now in the first round.
I believe so. It's somewhere around.
No, the Eagles are 22nd. The Bills are 28th.
28.
Right now, they're projected Adonai Mitchell out of Texas.
That wouldn't be a bad pickup. I like AD. AD showed up when it mattered the most, too, in the playoffs. I mean, is Troy Franklin going to be there? The guy from Oregon?
Yeah.
He's projected late first round, isn't he?
He's projected early second right now.
If that cat is projected early,
well, and keep in mind, there's all sorts of different mock drafts. A couple of them do have him late first.
That dude was a freak of nature.
Yeah, a couple have him late first.
Okay. All right, let's go to Ruka617. Jake, please elaborate on Drake May. Why so much love? I want to be excited. I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, well, and I was going to talk about this with Jonathan Hutton, too, from Outkick here in a little bit. Here's where I'm at with Drake May and why I trust Drake May over Caleb Williams. From a talent standpoint, I don't think there's that big of a difference in between what Drake May can do and what Caleb Williams can do. I think Drake May athletically moving around, being a long strider, I think he's going to end up being, and I know Justin Herbert's a really good player in the NFL, I think he's a better prospect with similar attributes than Justin Herbert was coming out. The thing I like about Drake May is, you went through that adversity. You didn't have Tez for a lot of the year. You lost Josh Downs. You lost a bunch of your talent outside of North Carolina. You lost your offensive coordinator. So it wasn't the prettiest thing in the world last year. I never saw him complain. I never saw him hang his head. I think he's a tough-ass kid. I think he goes out there and he handles business. He's kind of a quiet leader. But what I like about Drake May is the arm talent, the arm strength, number one. I think is up there with just about anybody. Caleb's got a great arm, but so does Drake. I think his maneuverability, Caleb is a little bit more maneuverable, but Caleb is smaller than what Drake May is. The thing I like about Drake is I feel like he can make all the tight throws that Caleb Williams can, and I don't have to worry about if it goes bad, is he going to go in the tank? The same thing I said about Spencer Rattler at the beginning, that growth is something that I didn't see from Caleb Williams, right? It was typically more about Caleb Williams than it was about the team. Call it just instinct, call it intuition, call it whatever you want. But when Caleb Williams goes somewhere as the number one pick, he's going to be going to a place that's not very good. I have a hard time trusting Caleb Williams to be all bought in, to be all in with the team, to make his teammates fall in love with him when it's going bad, right? Everybody can be good when it's going good. I don't think the talent difference is enough between Caleb Williams and Drake May for me to take Caleb Williams over Drake May. That's why I got Drake as my number one rated quarterback.
So if you were the Bears GM right now, you would take Drake.
I would take Drake May over Caleb Williams. I would. I'm telling you, I don't. And again, Caleb is unbelievably talented. And I get why the Bears would take him. I'm not saying it's not worth the risk, but I actually think, going back and looking at it, that Drake May is going to be a better NFL player than what Caleb Williams is. I truly, firmly believe that.
Man, I like Drake May a lot. The one thing I would want to see from him are more big-time performances in big-time games. That's one thing we didn't get to see from him at North Carolina. And, I think when it works out for him in the league, people are going to look at him staying at North Carolina saying, look, man, he remained committed to as a family legacy to North Carolina. You have to, honor that commitment. That's awesome from him. And if it goes badly for him in the NFL, people are going to say, well, he shied away from going to Alabama when he had the chance. I mean, the New York of college football, which will be in many respects an unfair criticism, but people just base what they're going to say on how you're performing on the field. So, he's not going to find himself in a good situation either if it's one of these, the Bears right now is not a bad position to be in. Caleb Williams is going to go number one to the Bears. They've gotten elite wide receiver pieces in there, and you're going to be in a division where, you can go in and compete. I mean, let's be honest about it. The Commanders and the Patriots right now, to me, is a tough spot to go in. If it's Jane Daniels, if it's Drake May, if it's J.J. McCarthy, you're going to be going into a tough spot, man.
Yeah, and I mean, look, Jaden Daniels is right there, too. The only thing that worries me about Jaden is he's got to become a smarter runner of the football or he's not going to make it. Jaden's got that dog in him where he's I can take on anybody. You remember him jumping in the old boy's arms from Georgia, the defensive lineman?
Yeah.
Just jumped into him. And listen, I like guys that are tough, but I also like guys that are healthy. And Jaden is not nearly the size of Anthony Richardson, and Anthony Richardson couldn't make it 6 games running in the NFL.
Just because it's hard doesn't mean we have to do it.
That's exactly. Well, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. That's a great way to put it. All right, let's get over into a couple of these playoffs before Jonathan Hutton comes on here. We got the phone lines open at 7:15 a.m. Central. Remember, if you donate, it will get read.
All right.
Hit that subscribe button, too.
Last night, we talked about the Nuggets were -7.5 favored against the Lakers. Lakers definitely covered that. They even found themselves up at 20, I believe, at one point in this game. They were up at halftime. But Nuggets with the buzzer beater late to beat LeBron and the Lakers. I think this is clip 10. Play this.
Let's run this. Look at Jokic. He's just a monster. Look at Jamal Murray, though. Come here. I'm going right. I'm going right. Call game, son. Call game, son! Call game, son. Little step back for the rest of your lives.
You're just cooking a 7-footer. I mean,
that's
step back
nice.
fadeaway. I mean, take it. Great shot.
Well, if you're Anthony Davis, there ain't much you can do about that.
No, he had 32 and 11.
Here's what I'll say. This is, and I know we're going to get to LeBron and his frustration. If you're the Lakers, though, man, you've played 2 different games 2 different ways, and you lost both of them. The first one, it was very LeBron heavy, very AD heavy for pretty much the whole game. You lost by 11? This game early for the Lakers, it was team ball. It was beautiful, right? You were getting contributions from everybody, and I don't think the Nuggets played very well offensively, right? They kind of came out, it seemed lethargic on offense. Then they got down. Then they picked it up. I know the Lakers are going back home. I just don't see a way in which they don't split this one going back home, which means the Nuggets are going to be up 3-1 with a chance to close it out back in Denver. We talked about gravity, right? Which teams survive in the postseason, right? The teams that can win in multiple ways, whether that be a series or whether that be single elimination like we see in March Madness. I mean, if you're the Lakers, you're almost damned if you do and damned if you don't. It feels like you got to play a perfect game. And if you're the Nuggets, it feels like you just got to play well. That's what it seems like to me.
Well, I think you lost 2 on the road to the best team in the NBA. And I feel like if anything you can take from both these games, you had a chance to win them, right? And you're going back home where if you play the same, usually the ball will fall your way when you're sitting at the home court. I mean, we talked about this yesterday. To beat the Nuggets, you need 4 out of those 5 guys on your team to play extremely well and probably a little bit of a bench guy, too, to show up. We look at it now. Anthony Davis, 32 points. LeBron James, 26. D'Angelo Russell, 23. Hachimura, 3 points. Austin Reeves, 9 points. The bench, the only points you get is Prince, 6 points. That's not going to be enough to beat these guys. It's going to be a full team effort. Aaron Gordon, 14. Michael Porter Jr., 22. Jokic, 27. Murray, 20. Caldwell, 10. They have 14 points off the bench. It has to be a team performance, and you have to play good. I know you only gave up 101 points, but the defense was sloppy in certain times. Anthony Davis, run back on defense. Run back.
Now do Luka.
You're half court, sitting with your feet in the mud. Run back. LeBron, quit gambling on stupid stuff late that you can't do. There's certain mistakes veteran guys are making, not on the offensive side of the ball, but on the defensive side of the ball, that's not going to win you championships.
It's the referee's fault. Did you not hear?
Well,
bring up clip 9.
The referees didn't help if you watch the game.
Bring up clip 9. Run this. It's the ref's fault.
What's the challenge mentally and emotionally after you lose such a heartbreaking game?
I mean, yeah, of course it's a heartbreaking game. You don't ever want to lose in that fashion. I don't understand what's going on in the replay center, to be honest. I think I said it this year or last year or whatever. D'Lo clearly gets hit in the face on a drive. You have a replay center. If it's going to go, it doesn't make sense to me. It makes no sense to me. It bothers me. Sorry I didn't answer your question, but that, like, and then I just saw what happened with the Sixers Knicks game too. What are we doing?
Bro, you couldn't carry Michael Jordan's jock strap, man.
Here's the
You couldn't take Michael Jordan his water on the bench.
We've sat up here and complained about the same thing.
You
the
cry,
same
baby.
thing,
You
but all of a
couldn't take
sudden,
Michael Jordan a cup of
LeBron
water
lives in
on
y'all
the
shit
bench.
rent-free, dog.
You couldn't take Michael
Rent-free.
Jordan
Y'all wake
his
up
water
thinking
on
about
the
LeBron
bench,
James,
man.
and it blows
Cry,
my mind.
baby.
Well, we sat up
Take
here
that
and said
loss,
the same
get
thing.
out, go
You've
home.
said it.
Go home.
You've
What have I said? What have
and
I said?
We've complained about replay on this show plenty of times.
When have we complained about it in the NBA?
Plenty of times. Replay in general.
No,
Football.
no,
Baseball.
Greatest of all
basketball.
time.
No.
We haven't.
No thanks.
No,
Hashtag
hold on.
unsubscribe.
Are you saying that complaining about replay in football is the same as complaining about replay in basketball?
And replay in general.
Okay. I don't think we've said replay is a bad thing. Who's ever said replay
We've got
is
on
a
here to
bad
talk about how many times replay is messed up and why we even have it.
That's
I've
our
never-
job. That's our job.
I've never
He can't-
said
That's our job.
You can't do that?
No.
Well,
no.
Hey, shut up and
No.
dribble, LeBron.
No.
Hey, shut up and dribble.
Go to the post-game press
I've
conference.
never- hold on,
Give kudos
I'm
to the
trying
Nuggets.
to-
They just beat you. And go home.
I'm trying to figure out what Blaine's talking about. So who has ever said that we should never have replay? What
That's
we've
not
said
what I'm
is
saying.
what we've said
what I'm
is
saying.
maybe in football the referee shouldn't run over to a video monitor. Maybe they should just have the replay center tell them what the call is because they're going to do that anyway and it doesn't waste time. Here's where you're conflating two things that aren't true.
Okay.
No, we can say that refs miss calls. We complain about referees all the time, right? I complain about umpires. We talk about Angel Hernandez all the time. And that's fine. That one play cost you a game where you play 4 quarters and there's 12 minutes in a quarter. My question is, regardless if it's a good call or if it's a bad call, I'm sure there were some calls that were missed on the Nuggets. I'm sure there was calls that were missed on the Lakers. Name one time where you heard Michael Jordan ever get up to the podium and say the referees cost us the game.
Did Michael Jordan have replay when he played?
They had referees.
We're not talking about referees.
What? So wait a minute.
We are talking about replay.
This is this guy's
Wait,
MO.
we're talking
cry, baby.
We're talking about
complaining
replay.
about anything, about whatever.
We're talking about replay.
Cry, baby.
Reviews of games that you go and look. That's an obvious call. Not even in this situation. An obvious call that doesn't get called. Why do we have replay? If
you have replay, just the same reason you have officials, to try and get the call right. Replay was invented to help the officials. I think what David is trying to say, and I think what a lot of people agree with, is number one, how does this help the Lakers? How does this help LeBron? How does this help Anthony Davis? What, to piss the referees going off into the next game? What he keeps saying is, it seems like for LeBron, when it doesn't go his way, there's always an excuse.
Always.
It's always somebody else's fault. Name another superstar or somebody that's in the running or considered the greatest of all time that has made as many excuses as LeBron. You sit here and make fun of LeBron for pretending to read books. You sit here and make fun of LeBron for being a fake person. But he gets up there and complains about the referees, and then all of a sudden, you're the biggest LeBron fanboy in the world.
Y'all want to blow it into a huge deal.
He just walked out of a press conference.
Right now, when the amount of times I've seen guys get on podiums and complain about refs, one time LeBron says anything, everybody just
one time?
I'm glad it's the first time.
We've got multiple guys on this thing that got up on podiums
I thought he was supposed to be the greatest of all time.
But no matter what it is,
I thought he was supposed to be held to a higher standard.
No matter what it is, I do think that was a bad call if you went and watched the replay.
What's the point of that game?
What's the point of a replay when it's a blatant call and they don't call it?
So what about them being up 20? Make an excuse then.
How
do you blow that lead? Was it the ref's fault?
I'm talking about someone getting in a podium and talking about refs.
I don't live in a mansion.
To me.
This is the problem with young people nowadays. You want to blame everybody else. You want to blame everybody else. How about this? How about you go up 20 points and go kick their ass? How about that?
Well, damn.
No.
Hey, sorry you dropped 30 points and you're almost 50 years old.
You lost.
Playing longer.
He didn't drop points.
More rebounds. More assists.
He might have 70, actually, if we're just
it's not even close.
Look,
but that's fine. Talking about young people, you're 4 years older than me, first of all. So, damn, I guess I'm just a young person.
I'm not talking about you.
And two, I don't see the huge deal when someone gets up there and complains about a ref or a review.
He's not someone.
He's going to get fined. He's going to get fined, and I'm fine with that. No matter who it is.
He's not worried about money.
If it's
this
Tom
guy's
Brady,
storming out of the
regardless
press
of who it
conference
is,
like a
I've
child,
seen top-tier guys complain about referees.
A joke.
It's no Michael
Jordan.
Take
Michael Jordan is water on the bench.
I'm fine with guys complaining about refs. We get on here and complain about refs all the time.
All right, let's move on.
The Knicks won too, though.
Yeah.
101.
Well, the Sixers can't get the ball in bounds at the end of the game. That's why they lost. You want to talk about feeling bad for somebody? You know who I feel bad for? Joel Embiid. That's who I feel bad for. Because if you watch this game, this dude's knee is literally ripped open, bleeding on the court. He can't even run up and down the court, yet he's still making incredible plays over and over again, and they can't get the ball into Tyrese Maxey at the end of the game. But I got to give credit, man. The Knicks are scrappy. And we make fun of the NBA, and you know, it's not as physical until it gets to the playoffs. I sat there and watched that Knicks-Sixers game yesterday. That was a physical-ass game, buddy.
God,
from the
Maxey
start
had
to the
35,
finish. Maxey's incredible, dog.
35, 10, and
Maxey's
9.
incredible. Is an incredible player. Talking about needing help from other guys.
And Embiid had 34 and
Tobias. Embiid's one of the most dominant basketball players I've ever seen in my life.
The Knicks just play great team ball.
They are. I mean, Jalen Brunson disappeared in the fourth quarter, but DiVincenzo and them still found a way.
So what about Cavs 96-86 over the Magic? That series is 2-0 now as well.
God, man, and obviously, you know, we like Jonathan Isaac. I just look at Orlando, and it's the struggle bus, man, offensively. There's 2 games in a row where it's just, you know, that they were able to come back a little bit. The first game was just bad. I don't think the Cavs are really that good. Spider came out and was just on fire. I mean, that's what Donovan does. Garland's a nice piece, too. I don't think either one of these teams are legitimate contenders to win the whole thing. I think this is just hey, we got past this round of the playoffs. Let's continue to build. But, yeah, the Magic, man. Like, I like Wagner. Like I said, I like J.I., but it's tough for them.
So all 3 of those home teams now have a 2-0 lead. Which one is most likely to win Game 3 on the road or when they go back home?
Well, I would say the Lakers.
Yeah, I mean, the Sixers, I feel like, now being down 2-0 in the way that I think the Sixers are better than the Knicks. I don't think the Lakers are better than the Nuggets. I don't think the Magic are better than the Cavs. When you look at the way the Sixers are made up, you talk about needing help outside of Embiid and Maxey. There really wasn't a lot that Philadelphia got from anybody else. But I do like their home court advantage. I think they will bounce back. Give me the Sixers as the most likely. I wouldn't be shocked if the Lakers won either. I wouldn't be shocked if any of the home teams won this playoffs.
All right, let's go to the NHL. We talked yesterday about who was going to start in goal for the Bruins. They ended up going with Ullmark. 2-2. I mean, the Bruins had control of this game until Austin Matthews came out in the third period with this incredible goal. Do we have that Austin Matthews goal?
Yeah, this is sick.
Yeah, run this.
And squandered a bunch of leads.
We can't get past 5.5 goals, though.
To go.
Can't score in an empty.
Look at this pass. Look at this pass.
That's just like, you know what it reminded me of? It's like when you make that double move at receiver.
You're on an island.
You beat the guy.
Talking about Ricky Pearsall catch.
No, man, there was some great hockey on last night. You know, the Stars game ended up being really good. I know you're going to go over the other ones because there was one that was absolutely drunk.
Well, I mean, the Canes are down. They score 4 goals in the third to win 5-3.
They were down 3-0 at one point and came back. They scored 2 goals in 9 seconds. The tying goal, Aho scored, and then the go-ahead goal, literally right after the face-off, off a guy's leg into the goal. Playoff hockey, man.
Crazy.
Absolutely crazy.
Oilers 7-4 over the Kings, too.
Yeah, that was Edmonton's a problem.
Now I'm really interested in this Vegas-Dallas series.
Well, Vegas
Dallas was 1 seed. Vegas defending champs. Now they just come out and punch them in the face.
Well, Vegas came out and scored. You know, I think it was the Stone guy that they had that was out for like the last 25 games. He comes in, his first game, scores a goal in like the first 3 minutes of the game. Then the Stars score. It gets challenged, reviewed, overturned because of an offsides. The Golden Knights scored again. It ends up going back and forth and back and forth. There was 5 goals scored in the first period. Then obviously Dallas wasn't able to come back. I mean, you got to look, the Golden Knights coming off, you know, what they did last year. Mm-hmm. I mean, you look at a team physically, that game was physical as hell. I don't know, man. These environments, I have got to go to an NHL playoff game. These environments.
That's the first game I've ever went to was a Predators finals game.
I'm sure it was nuts.
I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
You weren't ready for that?
I wasn't ready for what
I was hey, Preds on tonight against the Canucks. They outplayed the Canucks for a lot of that game.
Yeah.
Lost in game 1. Now they're going to have game 2 tonight. I mean, shoot, when they come back home, we should maybe go to that.
Look, I'm rooting for the Preds. You know, you get a split, that's a win in the first 2 on the road. It's just Vancouver kind of snuck them late in that first one. I don't know. I do feel like the Preds are kind of playing with house money, though. I do get that feeling. I know they kind of stumbled a little bit in the last 10 games after going on that 18-point streak. But I don't know, man. I feel like they're playing with house money. I like it.
Rangers Capitals tonight. I think the Rangers are just better than the Capitals, to be honest. Panthers Lightning is just a really interesting series to me.
I'm going to go Florida, but with the Lightning, I mean, with the guys that they have, I mean, Braden and those guys, you never know.
And then Jets Avalanche is the other one, which, how many goals did that have the other day?
How high can you count? I think it was 7-6.
7-6, yeah.
Something like that, which means it'll be 2-1 today.
Yeah.
That's typically how it goes. They get you to fall in that trap. But, I mean, guys, I'm going to be honest. I've been very happy with these playoffs in both the NBA and the NHL. I know we give the NBA a hard time because they do stupid stuff and the regular season sucks. Nobody's doubting that. But it's just such a different level of play. Hockey, yeah, it's more intense because it's the playoffs. But, I mean, you turn on a regular season hockey game, they're not walking around.
They're always bringing it, yeah.
But the NBA, man, I think we've had some pretty good finishes. I think we've had some pretty good games. I know the home team has won every game so far, but it's been good games, and it's been pretty good basketball, I think, at the end of the day.
I agree.
All right, speaking about pretty good, there's pretty good, there's great, and then there's good. Well, Good Ranchers, it's the best. I don't care where you get your meat from right now. If it's not Good Ranchers, you are absolutely messing up. It is sourced here in America, and if you're tired of your favorite cut of beef or chicken costing more but weighing less every time you buy it from the store, David calls it the potato chip bag theory. It's a real thing in all walks of life. Good Ranchers has a sizzling solution for you with their price lock guarantee. Thank God I did that for my house interest rate. During their April Price Shield campaign, they're offering not just a temporary fix, but a long-term solution. If you subscribe, now listen to this very carefully, to one of their boxes, which we get the butcher's box at my house, they will lock in your price until 2026. GoodRanchers.com, you get the most tender, flavorful meat. They got beef, chicken, pork, wild-caught seafood, everything your meat-eating heart desires. And right now, if you go to GoodRanchers.com and you use promo code BOOSTER, that's BOOSTER, you'll get their exclusive price shield and an additional 10% off your order. Now, this ends at the end of the month of April, so if you want to secure your best price on meat until 2026. Go to goodranchers.com. Use our code BOOSTER, that's BOOSTER, goodranchers.com with promo code BOOSTER. Meat.
Love it.
The best meat.
We had ground beef tacos this weekend.
Dude, we had Reed's making baby. Right now. Reed, we took some of the flat iron steak and some of the tip steak, and she's making beef tips and rice. It's in the crock pot right now. Just
right this second?
Just frosties.
David, did we get a new sound on the soundboard?
We got a new sound on the soundboard. You want to play this sound?
I'm going to ride the hot guy.
You try and ride the hot guy
forever.
You try and give people great betting advice. You try and
I'm gonna ride the hot guy.
Oh, you know who else said that? The Broncos said that, and they traded for Zach Wilson yesterday.
They did. How about that?
From one Wilson to another.
Look.
Let's go to the Booster Club real quick, and then we're gonna get Jonathan Hutton in here.
All right, let's go to Angelo DeRaymond. Angelo, what's up? Says, took a bad beat with the Crane Bros last night.
Yeah.
10 seconds left. Missed an empty netter off.
I saw that. I saw that. He's talking about the over. We're talking about the over for the Bruins game. Yeah. There's nobody in the goal. There's not one person in the goal. Make it. Or Bruins, I don't know, score when you go empty net. I don't know. It was tough. It was tough last night.
Let's go to Cody Kirby. He says, Blaine, the point is not whether the review process needs fixing. The point is the GOAT's immediate response is to point fingers.
The whole point.
There's a time and place to complain. That ain't it. The thing about me is, like, I just get really weird when we get up here and we can talk about complaining about the refs with the guys playing the games. Can't go to a post-game press conference.
That's the point.
And can't go talk to the refs about it. If there's anybody who should, and let's not act like Michael Jordan didn't complain about the refs. If you watch Michael play, he used to rip refs apart every game. Every game, if you watched it.
Well, here's where I think what's getting lost in translation. I do not remember ever. Number one, Michael Jordan never lost a final series, so I guess it's hard to go back and be like, well, let's find one game where he complained about it. But I just do not remember, through all the montages I've seen of Michael Jordan, him ever making the excuse that the reason they lost the game, or one of the big factors they lost the game, was because of somebody else other than himself or his team. I think if you're going to be, this isn't Garland from the Cavs. This isn't Wagner from the Magic. This is LeBron James. Somebody that some people think is the greatest basketball player of all time. And in the argument of Michael Jordan and LeBron James, I think it is fair to sit here and say, as a leader, when you get up there, not that Michael Jordan was the greatest leader of all time. I think he went about some things in ways that could have been better. But at the end of the day, LeBron James is known for making excuses. And to me, this creates a problem. And how does it help your team? How does this help the Lakers going home in Game 3 when LeBron's sitting up here complaining about the refs or the replay center? Does he have enough pull to maybe get the replay center to do a call in his favor? I don't know. I don't think he's playing 4D chess like that. I just hold him, and whether it be fair or not, he wants to call himself the GOAT. He wants to act like this. I hold you to a higher standard. I think that's the difference. It just, in the way I see it.
All right, let's go to DW. What's up? Bro, it says, the funny thing is Jordan was a complete prick, but gets the benefit of the doubt because of the passing of time. Jordan was a sore loser, as are many of the greatest, not exclusive to one player.
No, nobody is saying, and they like to lose. I just don't remember Michael Jordan being a sore loser in the way of blaming it on the officials at press conferences. Was he a great person off the court? I think
you think the same level of professionalism is being shown by LeBron James in post-game press conferences these days as to Michael Jordan, then you're insane and you're lying to yourself.
Yeah, I just don't.
What are we talking about?
I'm old enough to remember Michael.
What are we talking about? You're lying to yourself.
I just don't ever remember seeing him make those excuses at the podium.
Like, the guy didn't like to lose? Yeah, who likes to lose, man? We're talking about the biggest competitors on the planet. That kind of stuff right there, I never saw Michael Jordan.
I never saw Kobe
post-game press conference when the team was getting broken apart. The Chicago Bulls won 3 championships in a row, 6 in 8 years, and the GMs were still talking about breaking the team apart, and he still went up there and went about his business.
Yeah, I just
what
think
are we out here talking about?
Again, I think we're kind of prisoners of when you watched and what you watched. It's an interesting debate. I just think the proof's in the pudding to me.
All right, let's go to Mr. O. Hashtag Ask Creighton Company. Do college athletes get any media training during their time in college football to help them out for the draft?
Yes, it just depends on where you're at. Obviously, if you're at Ohio State, you're going to get a little bit more media coverage and training than you would get at, let's say, Louisiana Monroe, which is just kind of where you're at and what circumstance you're underneath. You have a lot of athletes that want to do some sort of broadcasting or communication after, so they're actually taking classes for it. But I think that, right, plus financial classes are stuff that athletes need to start doing, especially at a high level. It just depends on where you're at. I always find it funny, though, when maybe some of the athletes that don't get interviewed a lot finally get an interview or something like that. The funniest interviews of all time in sports, in my opinion, is baseball, because it's just so different, right? Especially you go back, some of the funniest interviews are college baseball, right, or Major League Baseball, because it's kind of different than you see in the football realm, than you see in the basketball realm. I don't know. I've always thought that. But speaking of realms, we're excited to welcome this guy to our realm. Was able to hang out with him the other night, had a fantastic time. He was a very gracious host. Jonathan Hutton from Outkick. I'm going to let him tell you where you can find all his info. Him and Chad do an incredible job. Jay Hutt, what's up, dog?
Good morning, guys. And it was a little light on the attendance. We got to get the whole crew together next time.
Listen. It's now that David, again, he's got 3 under 3. So whenever I can smuggle him out, it's like Owen Wilson from Behind Enemy Lines. We're just trying to find that beeping chair in the snow. And then Blaine, God knows what he's doing. So we'll get him. Okay. We'll get him over there.
God does know.
Yeah, God does know, and that's the problem, Jonathan. But look, I want to start. We let off the show. We have the draft coming up this week, obviously, kind of some sneaky under-the-radar picks. We think guys are going to outperform their draft position. I went with Spencer Rattler. David went with Ricky Pearsall. Blaine went with Luke McCaffrey. Is there a guy that you watched this past year, or maybe a couple, that you think may fall in the draft a little bit, but may end up outproducing where he was picked?
I mean, for me, it's Michael Penix Jr.
Yeah.
I'm going high in the draft for him. I mean, if he falls to the second round, I think the team's getting great value there. I think he's in a realm where he's not injured throughout his college career. I mean, the injuries were a couple years ago, but I mean, I think this guy's the second or third quarterback taken. I think he should have won the Heisman Trophy personally. And I'm putting him on that list just because it's a situation where we're not mentioning him or Bo Nix, but we're mentioning the quarterbacks right above them, and J.J. McCarthy's one of them. Sorry about that, David. But yeah, I'm looking at this going.
I agree.
Where's Michael Penix Jr. in this? Hendon Hooker was talked about more a year ago than this guy, and we just saw him with Roma Dunze, and they had a 4-pack of receivers at Washington that will end up being NFL wide receivers. So I think the quarterback has to benefit from that. He will, but he hasn't to the level I thought he would, and I think he's going to go to a great situation where he's probably going to back up a solid starter, and that ends up being very beneficial because that means he's going to have some stability with the head coach and the offensive coordinator for a bit, and not be like Caleb Williams where he's going to be switching offensive systems a year from now with a new head coach.
Yeah, and it's funny, you look at the difference in sports. A left-handed quarterback is kind of viewed as out there or different or maybe not as attractive in football, but a left-handed pitcher in baseball, you're the hottest chick at the dance. Even if you're 5 miles per hour slower from the left side, it's kind of weird the way it's looked at like that. The injury part to me, and David, you brought this up, he did go the last couple of years without getting hurt. Yeah. And in reality, you're safer in the NFL as a quarterback than maybe anywhere on earth when it comes to them protecting you. Like the strike zone gets smaller, it seems like every single year. But when I look at Penix and I look at translation to the NFL, right, there's not a coverage he hasn't seen, right? There's not a throw that he can't make when you look at his arm strength and his ability. Is it one of those situations where he turns into maybe the Jordan Love a little bit of this draft, where you get taken and you sit behind a guy for a couple years and you are truly ready. Now, hell, he may be 30.
That'd be
by the
great
time
for
he
him.
starts.
That'd be better than going to New England or to
With, I mean,
Washington,
if I'm Michael
kidding
Penix,
me?
let's be honest. Listen, I want all the money. I get that. I understand that. But it's not like he's going to be broke.
You'll get more money if you go to the right situation.
That second
The
contract.
situation matters
Yeah.
so much, not just in terms of who the head coach and the offensive coordinator is, but just in terms of the division, the other quarterbacks that you're going to be facing. I don't see a world in which this guy falls to the second round. That's mind-blowing to me. If it does, someone needs to scoop him up immediately because he's my favorite pure passer in this draft. So I talked to Michael Penix Jr.'s position coach this past week. He coached him at Indiana and at Michigan, and I asked about the injuries. I'm like, look, is there any cause for concern here? Because he had multiple injuries, and they were serious. And, he was like, look, he threw for 9,000 yards the past 2 years, 4,500 each season, and stayed healthy. Like, football is a collision sport. Anybody can get hurt at any time.
That's exactly right. And Jonathan, I do want to ask, we also talked about Drake May, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, the top of this draft, J.J. McCarthy. You have the number 1 pick. You're the Chicago Bears. Are you taking Caleb Williams at 1?
Yes, I am. And it's almost, it is out of necessity, but man, I don't know about you guys. This entire quarterback crop at the very top, I was very high on this group last August.
Mm-hmm.
And slowly that has dissipated into, I'm just kind of like, I feel bad for some of the teams that are up there because, I mean, Caleb Williams is the cream of the crop, and that's not knocking him. He's solid. I mean, his dad and he had been preparing for this moment since he was 10 years old. He's got all of the traits. He can get out of the pocket. I mean, he's the guy. He is the prototypical type of quarterback that you want in this era of the National Football League. But there are some intangibles there that I mean, I would have to really dig on, and I'd be sweating over right about now. It's the behind the scenes stuff, man. It's what I think a lot of the guys in college now are battling at the very, very top of the name, image, likeness, and all of the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. This guy's been having it, dealing with it for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a marketing team, but he, doesn't have a quote unquote agent. His dad speaks a lot. Quite frankly, I give him a props for. I thought we'd hear a lot more from him and his camp over the last month and a half or so. We haven't. I think that's a positive. Drake May, I love the alpha qualities of him. J.J. McCarthy, the leader. I think J.J. McCarthy's a better leader than Caleb Williams. But as far as the traits go, this guy's got everything in the box. So I'm taking Caleb Williams number 1. And I'm hoping that he can get in there and lead.
Mm-hmm.
That's the area that I'm uncertain about with him. And I'm not uncertain about it one bit with J.J. McCarthy. But when you flip it over to just what I'm seeing on the field, you don't talk about numbers. This guy can put it up, and in the NFL, he should have at least some semblance of a defense to help him out.
Yeah, and a defensive head coach and Eberflus, and that's the right. At least the Bears can at least say then, hey, we took the most dynamic quarterback.
Yeah,
right. Like you can at least lean on that and just evaluate the off the field issues the best you can.
So,
go ahead.
Can I jump in on this? Like the J.J. McCarthy, he doesn't get enough credit for what happened last year at Michigan. Say whatever you want about Jim Harbaugh, the players with the 6 games, the first 3 games, sure they should win those games. And I mean nothing by this other than just my perception of it. J.J. McCarthy found out about the same time that we all did, I guess, on the flight to Penn State that his head coach was going to be suspended. And all he did was go out there and lead that team, win, and go about his business, beat a Maryland team without overlooking, or what was the team seemed to be overlooking towards Ohio State, but they won those 3 games. After the Penn State game, he's the leader in the locker room. Sharon Moore's crying on the sideline. I mean, the perception of that is sticks out to me. Speaking of crying, that's what Caleb Williams does when he lost to Washington. So I'm looking at this in that perspective and wondering how that translates. That is a huge positive for him. Caleb Williams, to me, has to go in and be about ball. I think he has been. I don't think he's talked as much as his father has. But there is something about painting the fingernails and doing all this stuff at Notre Dame that just you're not going to do that on a routine basis in the professional locker room and actually lead that group whenever you need to get a win in week 18 and guys are going to follow you. I just don't think that translates. I think J.J. McCarthy's leadership qualities do.
Yeah, I don't know if you'll find another mindset like J.J. McCarthy's. We were talking about it earlier. He's obviously a proven winner. He's dialed in to the nth degree. Steve Dace came on this program months ago and said, hey, he's about to blow people away in these meeting rooms, and that's what he's done. At the same time, if you're an NFL GM, you're doing your due diligence, they're going to go look at that Penn State game and say, oh, he didn't even throw a pass in the second half, and they beat that team. You know, meanwhile, Caleb Williams is throwing it 45 times a game. Michael Penix Jr. is being asked to make 20 to 22 NFL throws per game. That's where they're going to start to look at that. And what we were talking about with Jake earlier is like, if an NFL team like, say, the Giants or the Raiders right now, or even the Broncos, which I want your opinion on because they just traded for Zach Wilson, you know, if you can find the same value, you think at least, nobody knows for sure, but if you can find the same value in someone like a Spencer Rattler that you can find in a J.J. McCarthy, but you can get him in the second round and address a bigger need in the first round, then they'll probably go that direction.
Yeah, one thing that fascinates me about the draft process and where we're at, and I think, to me, this is the way that I view it. I think this is the way that the GMs view it. When you look at Caleb Williams, let's just take Caleb Williams and J.J. McCarthy and put them side by side. I think there's some things that you know that are concrete about each, and there are things that you trust about each, but there's also something you don't trust, but that's the difference, right? So for J.J. McCarthy, the production from a throwing standpoint, you know he's a great leader. Right, but you also know he was in the fastest car at the race. Michigan, in my opinion, Georgia and Michigan had the two fastest cars at the race. Right, Georgia lost to Alabama in the SEC championship and didn't make it. You know J.J. McCarthy has the physical ability to get there. He's just not there yet. So that's the part you're not sure. If you put J.J. McCarthy on a team that is one of the slowest cars, how long is it going to take to rev that damn thing up? Then on Caleb Williams' side, didn't do a ton of winning. You question some of the leadership. But he was able to stay in the race basically because he was a great driver. So if you take the leadership part out, do you believe basically that somebody can grow enough off the field to be able to meet their physical ability, as opposed to J.J. McCarthy, who you're hoping can grow enough on the field to meet their mental ability? I think those are the differences, and I think that is the dynamic decision that you have to make as a GM. That's just the way I see it.
Yeah, but you got to grow behind the scenes in the locker room and in your professional mentality, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think there's a reason Mac Jones is down in Jacksonville. You know, like there's a message being sent to Trevor Lawrence, and to me, like Trevor Lawrence can fit all those qualities that you're mentioning, Jake. But the what happens on the field, coaching changes in year one. And that sets you back a year. And just from switching systems, overall, the philosophy of the new head coach that comes in, whatever it might be. Bryce Young's going through that right now in Carolina. Will Levis has got that here in Nashville. Meanwhile, C.J. Stroud's running it back with Bobby Slowick at offensive coordinator. The fits matter as well. And ultimately, Trey Lance, whenever he was drafted by Shanahan, everyone, and including me, my God, this is going to be a perfect fit, right? If Sean McVay ends up with the backup QB to go in with Matthew Stafford, he's going to be the next quarterback in waiting, and everyone's going to feel great about that situation. Meanwhile, I don't feel great about Chicago right now. Given the fact of their head coach, I think is more or less in a lame duck spot, given what they've done at other coaching positions and how they're going about trying to figure out the quarterback position with that type of offense that they'll have. And I'm looking around going, okay, New England, they're in a retooling, rebuild mode. And Washington, who knows what's up with that offensive line. There are some bad situations. And then there are teams trying to move up. Minnesota, think about the quarterback that ends up in Minnesota with Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
Put any quarterback in this group right now in the first round with Justin Jefferson. Then look at
Michael Penix. Put Michael Penix with the Vikings, the guy you brought up earlier. I'm not a math teacher. That's a problem, buddy.
So they're at 11, Jonathan. They're at 11.
Yeah.
You got the Broncos at 12. Now, we had been talking about both those teams are trying to move up, right? But then the Broncos just traded for Zach Wilson from the Jets yesterday. Is that going to keep them from trying to jump Minnesota now? Or does Minnesota
No.
now think, okay, maybe the Broncos won't jump us, so they don't try and make a move?
Well, so here's what I'm thinking if I'm Denver. I just gave up a combined 3 first-round picks and 3 second-round picks for Sean Payton and Russell Wilson. And I finally have a first-round pick again. Yeah. And I'm going to trade future first-round picks for which guy? Sean Payton's in charge there.
Yeah.
So do I think that he's going to be sold on Zach Wilson and Jarrett Stidham? No. Do I think that he's probably in love with one of these guys, not named Caleb Williams? Absolutely. I think the guy that they would be going after, and I think Minnesota has ties to this guy too. And in fact, I know they do, and that's Drake May. So the team we haven't heard of that is just locked in on a QB is New England. And then there's Arizona. But if you've got the 3 QBs and J.J. McCarthy is still available, the other 3 are off the board, where does that next QB fall in the top 10? And if if they make it to like around 7, pick 7 with Tennessee, I think that's the type of jump they could make to get ahead of Minnesota. I don't think we see a top 4 quarterback fall out of the top 10 because of the needs. Put the Raiders in there too. With what they need and the type of winning they need to do, especially with Adams there. I think Denver's in the market, and I don't think just because they trade for Zach Wilson and flip-flop late-round picks that they feel set. They need an upgrade, and they just didn't trade away Russell Wilson and pay all that money to go get a veteran. They're going to try to get a rookie on a rookie deal.
Yeah,
and save some money that way and try to build him through Sean Payton's system. I am intrigued though with which quarterback that would be, and I think all the talk about Drake May and whether or not he's still the number 2 guy on the board. I think a lot of teams love that dude.
I hope. I love him.
I think he's the coveted quarterback after number 1.
Yeah, feels like Zach Wilson's an insurance policy to me. That's what it feels like. So, he's in case, hey, we need to string this guy along. You got Stidham, Zach Wilson, maybe a young
Zach. So if he wants to, digest last year, Zach showed some flashes.
Well, I want to see Sean with his hands on Zach.
Sean, right? Sometimes
he could at least keep you from having to start a rookie right off the bat if that guy doesn't come in and pick it up right away.
It's not the plane; it's the pilot.
Yeah. Why is a buffet better than a 1-course meal? You got options.
There you go.
You got options. All right.
All right. Let's go to Tito. He won't
go ahead, John.
No, I was going to say, which of the quarterbacks do you think is the Will Levis of this group?
See, meaning I think it's
shocked that he falls.
I think it's J.J. McCarthy. I think this is a smokescreen with J.J. McCarthy for somebody to move up and get somebody. Not saying that J.J. won't end up being a good player. No. I have my doubts about Will because I think he's a little willy-nilly with the ball, but the NFL has a way to teach you to not to do that. I think some people are setting up J.J. McCarthy so somebody will grab him and that will leave somebody else. That's just what I feel right now. Plus, I think
and there's always one, right? There's always one quarterback every year who ends up getting talked about, and then the camera's on him, and he's waiting around, and he doesn't get picked. Yep. It doesn't always mean they end up being a bad player. The same thing happened with Aaron Rodgers.
I was just
he's
about
a
to say
top
that.
5 quarterback all time. He was sitting there waiting around to be picked, and he never was. He's got his arms crossed. So it's not always a bad thing. I'd rather sit around and wait all day and go to a team like the Vikings than put me in Washington or put me in New England right now where I have to go be better than Aaron Rodgers and Tua Tagovailoa and Josh Allen right off the bat in that division. I think it might be Bo Nix, the way things are going right now.
I don't think that's crazy. I'm going to be honest with you. I would rather go to the Bears. I would rather go to the team with the number 1 pick than the team with the number 2 or number 3.
I completely
it's never like that. Like last year with the Panthers, God help Bryce Young. Yeah. God help him and Derek Brown. That's totally... People are talking about, Caleb Williams is going to say, no, I'm not going. I'm not going to Chicago. Well, guess what, buddy? Then you're screwed.
No, the Bears could be sneaky good. If someone can come in and play quarterback,
Imagine if they held on
their defense was good enough last year.
Yeah. Even though the defense was better than what I thought after they
that's why Eberflus is there.
Yeah.
It's certainly not for the offensive side.
We'll see how long he's there. It's basically a Dr. Seuss character.
Don't trust a guy named Eberflus.
Hey, I think this draft is more like the Mac Jones draft where J.J. McCarthy just falls to one of these teams like Mac Jones did to New England. It's like, of course. They sit at 15 and they get Mac Jones. This is Bill Belichick. That could be Minnesota. It could be just the Vikings sit there and wait, and J.J. McCarthy falls to them.
Yeah, look, I'm not a geography major, but I do know Minnesota and Michigan are somewhat close to each other. Speaking of close, It's always a great time when Jonathan joins us, the first ever debut. We got to have you back on again, man. Love going on y'all's show. Tell everybody where they can find your work over at Outkick because it's fantastic, man. Hot mic, let's get it.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Outkick.com/watch is where you can check out Hot Mic with me and Chad Withrow. And then draft night this Thursday, Clay's going to jump in with us. We have a live stream going over at Outkick.com and on YouTube. Who knows where that conversation leads, right? Not like your show. We're in the playground of life, right?
For sure.
Kick back, talking sports, love it for the escape. And here we go. The NFL draft where the ball used to play the sport is not even present is massive.
Very true.
I love this. I love the debate. Love your guys' show as well.
All right, man. We're going to live stream it. Maybe we should touch our streams. Let us gingerly touch our tips. We'll see. Jonathan, thanks.
That's why we have a new sound.
Oh, don't play it.
This guy.
Don't play it.
Hey, but were you hanging out with the father-in-law the other day?
Yeah, man.
All right, man. God, you hung out with
some
Jake?
rooftop in Nashville, if you could believe that.
Now I'm super jealous.
Golly, it's come Titan season, I'll probably be up there ready to jump off. But Jonathan, appreciate you, buddy. Thanks so much.
Yeah, you guys have a great day. Thank you.
You too, man.
All right, great stuff there from our buddy Jonathan Hutton. Go check that out. All right, David. I know I'm a little late here. Actually, a lot late. But
all good. We got callers on the line. How about Dave in Kentucky? Dave, talk to us.
Dave. Mark Pope. Mark Pope, son.
Hey, fellas. How we doing today? I appreciate you taking my call. And you just solved an existential crisis for me.
Okay. I got it. I didn't do it.
I've lived 42 years. I've lived in Mountain West country. Never been a big follower of college sports because they were never a big deal. We just moved to Kentucky, and I live smack dab in the middle of Louisville and Lexington. So I need to know if I'm going to be a Cardinals fan or a Wildcats fan.
First off, Dave, you called the right place.
Wow.
You 100% called the right place.
Good situation.
Let me put it to you this way. When you go to a restaurant, do you like to go to the most fancy, best place or the hole-in-the-wall place that nobody talks about that's really good too? Which one do you go to?
I want the one that serves up huge servings on greasy plates, and the restaurants, that's the one I want. I want that greasy spoon.
You're a Louisville fan.
You think so?
It's Louisville. It's Louisville, and I'm going to tell you why. Listen, you go into Kentucky and state of Kentucky. All right, Kentucky. It's the Great Gatsby party, right? It's the 5-star. Well, I said it was. It's the 5-star. It's the 2 Michelin star restaurant that serves you. They're serving tuna tartare and chula abalatala. Like stuff you can't even pronounce. You go to Louisville, you walk in the back door, past some big bald dude. Yeah. You go in there, they've got greasy burgers, smash burgers, right? They got curly fries. Are the fryers clean? I don't know. Who cares? They're delicious.
Wait, is he a Gators fan?
No. To me, you're a Louisville fan.
Yeah. Jake just saying everything Louisville has is shitty.
That's not what I'm saying. Jeff Brom. I'm a big Jeff Brom guy.
Oh, look, if we're talking about Louisville football, yeah, I'd walk in that door.
They just great at basketball.
Damn good deal.
They just hired Drake's coach.
Yeah,
I believe too. I think you're Louisville, Dave, but you called the right place, buddy.
Yeah, don't be a Kentucky fan. That sucks.
All right, Louisville it is. That's going to be my plan.
Appreciate it. All right, well, let us know how it goes. I hope.
Keep us updated, bud.
Yeah, you got to go buy something Louisville now and put it in. Here's the thing, Dave. How long have you lived in Kentucky?
About a month.
About a month. All right. The sign's got to go in the yard now. Hey. You got to show up and you got to pick your side, dude. I grew up in the state of Alabama. You got to pick one. You got to plant your flag. It needs to be a Cardinal. That's right, Louisville Nation. And I actually pronounced it right. Any other existential problems, Dave?
Jump on quick, huh?
Hey, well, yeah, you've got. Hey, look, you're a new guy, new place, right?
To be honest, if he wanted to live the degen lifestyle, we'll wait and see when the season starts and see who's playing better.
Murray State?
You know?
Somebody say the Racers?
You know? Let's see.
It's
performing early.
It's Louisville, Dave. Don't be that guy. That's like the guy that makes excuses at press conferences.
Thanks, Dave.
See you, Dave.
I appreciate it.
See you, buddy.
Appreciate you.
All right, let's go to Ben in Missouri. Ben, how you doing?
Hey, as your resident Broncos fan, I was looking at those uniforms yesterday, and they need to go in Blaine's segment on Friday because they are the definition of mid.
Dude, they copied Blue Mountain State. Did anybody else see that? They basically copied Blue Mountain State's uniforms.
Someone said UTEP called, and they wanted their uniforms back.
Bro, like the Broncos colors are so awesome. Like, you have got to be able to find a way in that color scheme. Just go all whites every time.
Yeah. They did, though, because then right after that, they came out with the 77 throwbacks. Just make those the primaries.
I'm
man.
good
Those are
with
the best
that.
uniforms in football.
Facts.
I'm good. Just like, I'm going to be honest with you, and I may be in the minority here. I think the Buccaneers' old uniforms are better than the ones they have now.
The orange?
The orange.
Yeah.
I think they're better. And the Oilers throwback, the baby blues, is better than anything the Titans have now.
Those are the top three. Those are the top three.
Yeah.
Those are the top three in league history, in my
I
opinion.
love where your head's at right now.
Old school Chargers, too, while we're at
Old school Chargers. That's a good call. That's a good call.
That is good. What I wanted to talk about, of course, as an extension, I'm a Nuggets guy. So that was a fun game. I actually turned it off because, with the Lakers up 20, I thought for sure this game was over.
And then?
But when I saw that LeBron presser afterwards, it reminded me a lot of Super Bowl 50 and Cam Newton, who also, just kind of walked up and out of there. And, I'm with everybody when they say, like Devontae Adams, when he shoved that guy at Arrowhead, like, just don't go up to players right after they've, because your emotions are running high. But I think it's a professional. You need to be at the press conference. You need to be kind of, your emotions need to be checked at the door a little bit and answer the questions.
Yeah, and again, look, I understand being frustrated, man. Nobody gets on the officials more than I do, right? But I'm not LeBron James. I'm not playing in the game. And going up to somebody right after the game, right after the football game when they're on the field walking off, or right after the basketball game when they're on the court walking off, you always want to be professional, right? But that is a very emotional moment. Say what you want about LeBron, he works his ass off. Like he does to be able to play at this level. I don't think anybody's doubting that. But when you have time to decompress, especially when you're as old as LeBron is, and you've won championships, and you've been around, and then you go sit down at that podium or sit down in that chair at the press conference, to me, you knew what you were going to say before anybody even asked a question. That's why you answered a question that wasn't even asked. LeBron even said, sorry, I didn't answer your question. You just came out and sat down and decided to make a statement. I always used to ask myself, how will this help my team? How will this help my teammates? How will this help the other coaches? I just don't see what it accomplishes.
Well, it's not just LeBron James, unfortunately. This is all of our athletes. I mean, being professional is no longer the standard. I mean, that's just, honestly, that's what I see. Even the body position, slouch down, attitude. And again, it's not just LeBron. It's just we don't care anymore about our athletes being professional in post-game press conferences like that. We don't hold them to that standard, so they're not going to be. Oftentimes, LeBron James or people like him will be more celebrated if they act this way. So they're like, hey, I'm getting more celebrated by my fans, to just air my frustration like a reality TV show.
You can be transparent and professional. I think both of those things can exist in the same plane. Like, if you come out there and say, listen, I don't know why we have replay, if we're not going to change that call, but that's not why we lost the game. We're up 20 points. We got to finish these guys. And that's on us. That's on us as a team. To me, I see that, okay. Hey, I'm good with it. That was transparent. You were very professional. But that's not the way you went about it. You got up and stormed out like a child. Like that's the part I have a problem with.
I don't think
overall.
he said that's the reason they lost the game, did he?
That's basically what he inferred.
I don't think that he said that. But I do think now, and I agree, a lot more people complain about the refs, and it's not a great look. And I know that. But I think now, back in the day, it wasn't as polarizing. There wasn't this social media. There wasn't this. Everything gets out a lot easier. I'm sure. Back in the day, guys complained all the time about the refs. All the time. You just didn't see it as easy as much as it's distributed nowadays. Is it an excuse? No. You were up 20, you should have won the game. I get it. But I watch Patrick Mahomes do it. I watch all these guys do it.
Yes.
They don't take as much heat as LeBron James when he gets up here.
I'll tell you, for the young people listening, the two best I've ever seen at the pressers are Peyton Manning and Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Hurts lost a Super Bowl. Talking about Patrick
Jalen Hurts is the art of saying
call.
everything while saying nothing.
Yeah,
that's Jalen Hurts.
Peyton Manning got blown out by the Seahawks.
Yeah,
and he still had a good presser after that.
And not that I've seen every single sample size. Someone will probably share on social media with me, oh, did you see this time something got said? But man, I watched a lot of Peyton Manning pressers, and he just always had the right attitude and frame things the right way.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. I think it's just a difference of era, basically. But Ben, man, great stuff, buddy.
Thanks, Ben.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
All right, let's go to Timothy in Green Bay. Timothy, what's going on?
How you guys doing today?
What's up, man?
What's up, dude?
I just want to talk about a little bit yesterday with the college football rule changes.
Yeah.
I think you guys are a little overreacting on the 2-minute warning thing because, from obviously you could be wrong, but you guys know Joe Klatt, and he was talking about this like 2 months ago, and they said like as of now with like the way they have their deals structured with the TV networks, they only get like I think 4 or 5 commercials per quarter, so they couldn't like just add an extra one just for no
that's
reason.
what we said yesterday, Timothy. That's what we said yesterday. To me, I think the biggest change of the rules that were announced wasn't the helmet communication, wasn't the 2-minute warning, because I'm going to tell you what I think they're going to do with the 2-minute warning, and I bet I'm right. To me, it was being able to have 18 tablets on the sideline and in the booth. That's huge for guys coming to the side. It's a lot easier to show somebody a video of actually what just happened as opposed to having to write it up on a whiteboard, which I've had to do a million times. The helmet comm, it's going to help, but I don't think it's going to be nearly as big of a change. The 2-minute warning, here's what I think they're going to do. And I don't, like I said yesterday, I don't hate it or think it's awful. I think they're going to give you the side-by-side, right? We see this in the PGA Tour. We see this in the NHL. We see this in the NBA, where the 2-minute warning you're seeing on half your screen, the team go talk to the coach, and on the other half's like an Aflac commercial or something. There's going to be some way that they put it in there, but no, I don't. I think we were one of the few that didn't overreact about the new college football rule changes, Timothy. There, so I got to disagree with you there, buddy.
Oh, the way Blaine was talking about it, he made it seem like they're just going to add 30 more.
Well, now listen, let me ask you this, Timothy. Would you be shocked, though, if they did? Would you be just totally shocked?
What I think is going to happen is when they restructure the deal, they're going to add more. But I think for the next whatever it is, until like more deals until the deals are done, I think they won't. But then until the deals are restructured,
yeah,
easily.
I don't mind it. I really don't mind. You know me, I'm not huge on change, but I don't think I don't think that's some massive problem. I think it's actually going to make things a little better, in my opinion.
Yeah, which I also think is ridiculous that they waited this long for tablets. We had tablets in my high school team. Like what?
Yeah.
You don't have any college?
Well, it's funny. It's like they put it. How did you arrive at the number 18? Like how did that go? They're like, all right, let's do the math here. There's 48 personnel staff divided by 2.5 times pi. I don't know. But
college football just found out.
Just how about this? How about you have as many tablets as you can
College
afford?
football just found out that Best Buy's a thing.
Yeah.
Like, guys, we can get all these tablets.
They signed a partnership with them?
Yeah, they signed a partnership with Best Buy. Now everybody gets a tablet.
Thank you, Timothy.
Thanks, Tim. Appreciate it, Tim.
Yep.
All right, let's take one more call today. Let's go to Kirk in Canada. Kirk, how you feeling, man?
Hey, guys. How's it going today?
Good. Hey, how you feeling, dude?
What's up, Kirky?
I actually don't feel bad. It's just that my heart is not doing what it's supposed to do. I'm still in the hospital waiting for some answers here. So,
well, tell them I said to figure it out, or we'll skyhook you and bring you to real doctors in America.
It really cracks me up when people say, "Oh, at least it's free health care." I'm like, no.
Yeah, some homeless guy walks in with a stethoscope on and just looks at you and walks out. It's free.
Well, yeah. Well, we pay almost $8 a liter in gas. We pay 15% tax on absolutely everything. It ain't free, believe me. So.
Anyal's prime minister went blackface.
Don't even get me started on the Fuhrer.
Yeah.
But anyway,
that's so funny when Kirk calls him that.
Yeah, we watched the Leafs game. Oh, Austin Matthews scoring late.
Woo! Kirk, I think about you every time the Leafs come on. Got a little nervy there for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Got a little nervy there for a second. But Austin, woo!
Austin pulls it out. Listen, with about 6 minutes left in the third, one of the Leafs took the old lumber to Marchand's left leg, and he just went down like a Brazilian soccer superstar.
I love it.
Oh, I'm telling you, there's nothing worse. There's nothing worse than hockey.
Well, I wonder if it was
a guy who goes down like a tree in the forest.
Yeah, I was
taking a little lumber on the leg.
I was trying to remember if that was the game. Somebody got lifted. Like they didn't get knocked down, but they got hit so hard that they were like up in the air and they got hit so hard into the board and somehow landed on one skate and didn't fall. It just blows my mind. I forget they're skating sometimes, and then they'll show like a replay of like the puck getting stuck around the goal and them going nuts, and I'm just looking at the skates these guys are on. Like the fact that, like I don't even need a puck, like or a stick. The fact those guys can skate like that and stop and turn, it just still blows my mind.
Yeah, it's pretty, that's the reason why they're the pros for sure. Before we go, though, I got to, as a guy who grew up watching, Bill Laimbeer battling Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, and all those guys, like, I'm pretty convinced that LeBron wouldn't last 10 minutes in the 1980s NBA. He is such a baby.
It would either go, I wonder, though, and here's the way I think. If he grew up in that era, I think it's like when people say, could Babe Ruth, Babe Ruth would hit 150 now. I don't know. If you grew up in that era and you were molded in that way, with LeBron's ability, either it's going to go one of two ways. Either he's going to score 50 points a game and just eat everyone alive, or he's going to get bullied out of the league. That's why comparing eras, it's just so hard, because not only is the game different, but society's different. Like, that's what makes it so difficult. That's what makes it so difficult.
He's still 6'8", too.
Yeah, like
LeBron would have mopped the floor. Mopped the floor.
With every team but the Bulls.
I just wish I could have seen MJ versus
Dennis
LeBron.
Rodman would have checked him.
Can you imagine Larry Bird versus LeBron?
Oh, that would have been.
That would be like, because Larry's not exactly
Larry's scoring.
little.
I know that.
Like
scoring.
Larry's not little. Like that. Larry Bird wasn't some little dude. He's just drinking a Budweiser in
the Larry Bird
French Lick,
commercials
Indiana.
with him in the attic with Mayhem.
They're pretty good.
Pretty good. I enjoy
Those
the
are
new
solid.
Buffalo Wild Wings commercials as well.
That might be the best commercial out.
Yeah,
It reminds me of my childhood.
Yeah.
Where commercials.
Kirk, man, I hope you feel better. Tell that
better,
Canadian doctor your heart's on the left side.
That sounds good. We're going to know more tomorrow. There's a good chance it'll be released tomorrow. Either if this procedure works, I get to go home. If it doesn't work, I get to go home, and they're going to do some surgery or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out, but I'll keep you posted. Thanks for your prayers, Booster Club.
Definitely, Kirk. Hope you feel
Kirk,
better,
feel
buddy.
better, brother.
Anybody else who called in, y'all call in tomorrow, please.
Yes, I'll get to the phone lines. That was such a great conversation with Jay Hutt. I had to keep him on. All right. Blainazium.
Yeah, I'm taking 4 bets today, so I don't know if you want to ride them up there.
Oh, I'm going to write them because I
Want
got
them
my
all
cool
4?
green super fat head marker.
All right, give me Yankees.
Okay.
-1.5.
Okay.
All right, give me the Nerfy Blue Jays Royals.
Okay.
Give me Nerfy A's Yankees.
A's. Yanks. Nerfy. All right. Last
And give
one.
me Rangers -1.5.
All right.
Man, that umpire was just itching to throw Aaron Boone out yesterday.
Dude, how about that?
He didn't even say anything.
How about that? Like it's somebody. They put the K zone on Aaron Boone and then like circled the guy ahead of him, and it was like a high ball, and they're like an Angel Hernandez strike got somebody thrown out of the game yesterday. No, this
Was it a fan?
It was a fan that was sitting right above the dugout. Got
We're
Aaron
throwing
Boone
out
thrown
managers because fans of the opposing team.
Yeah, Aaron Boone literally said something to the umpire. The umpire looked back at Aaron Boone, was like, and you can hear the whole interaction. He's like, "You say another word, you're gone." All right, because this is pretty early in the game, I believe. 10 seconds later, the fan in a blue shirt sitting above the dugout says something to the umpire. The umpire looks at Aaron Boone, doesn't mind. And Aaron Boone's like,
I swear to God.
He's like pointing at the guy. He's like pointing at him. He's like, I swear to God. It's like Austin Powers. He's like, it's not mine.
You can't unthrow a guy out, right?
I see.
I don't know if I've seen anybody
Can you go, speaking of replay,
I don't think anybody can. I've never seen someone get unthrown out.
like
right?
brought back?
Like, even if they find out if it was something else, like, you already tossed the guy. You can't be like, mistakesies.
Who was the Mets manager who came back in with the mustache? Back in
Oh
the day?
my God, I forgot who that was. That's hilarious. I had totally forgotten about that. All right, let me get these bets. I'm going to take the Bucks. All right, took them last time. Money line at home against the Pacers. Just Siakam, please don't kill me. At -115. And then I'm going to take the Rangers and the Panthers on the money line. Come on, hockey. Last night wasn't great. That's at +109.
Bobby Valentine.
Bobby
Valentine.
And I think it was Robbie Valentine.
Came back in with the mustache.
I love it.
1999.
Oh, Bobby V.
All right, give me the Rangers -1.5 goals. That's going off at +100. And then I'm going to do something that's just maybe idiotic, but I'm going to ride with the Predators. Again, money line +136. It was the only hockey bet I missed this weekend, but hey, they performed well. They just lost the game. Let's figure it out.
Nothing's more dangerous than a Predator that's under the radar. All right, Ace. He's gonna take the Dodgers on the run line at -130, and he's going to take the Twins on the run line at -122. All right, let's get to some donuts.
All right, a couple of donations. Go to Teebs2828 with a $20 donation. Appreciate it, brother. I have a former football player who joined the Marines. He's about to get out and wants to coach football at the college level. He is going to college and wants to know the best degree and advice to achieve this dream.
Well, if you want to coach football, the best degree is probably the easiest one because you're going to be spending all of your time if you're up there immersed in football. So sports management, I don't know. They offer a lot of majors now that you're not going to make anything out of. Maybe they're doing like straw making or something. I don't know, which is probably better than 80% of what they're teaching at Columbia right now. Best advice, learn special teams. Learn special teams. There's an old saying, if you know special teams, you'll always have a job. Start there, grind your way through it. You never know what can happen, but thanks for your service.
Special teams, special plays, special players. $2 donation from Justin Alfiera says, look, the Magic can't shoot.
Can't shoot free throws either. They were like 9 of forever from 3, and they were like 16 of 25 from the free throw line. It's like they say, short and stupid, or fat and stupid's a bad way to go through life.
$5 donation from Timothy from Green Bay. Jake is right. The Dark Knight clears everything, and second had to mention the team I'm coaching in 7-on-7 is now 4-0.
Let's go.
Capped off with a 51-0.
Job's not done, Timothy. Look, job's not done.
1-0?
How do you not score any points in 7-on-7?
Y'all got the greatest 7-on-7 defense. He's out there blitzing.
That's crazy.
7-on-7.
All right, Paul. All right, remember I got to do the booster.
Man, Ryan's not here today? Ryan Gates.
I don't know what's going on. Phillies must be falling apart. Who's they pitching today? All right, this guy brought up the Booster Club. Says, could Blaine make it as a Marine?
Could Blaine make it as a Marine?
I
believe in you, but the Booster Club.
Look, you go with the Booster Club thing.
I'm gonna say yes, 51%.
That's what I was gonna say. Yes, 52%.
I love you guys. I appreciate that.
No, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, 58%.
No, that's not that bad.
Yes.
That's not that bad. All right, we appreciate you guys. Appreciate Jonathan Hutton from Outkick for stopping and hanging out. Shout out to Bet Online, Good Ranchers. Go use that promo code Booster. We got great deals there. Got a great show for you tomorrow. And, well, like the chances of an away team winning in the first round of the NBA playoffs, we're going.
No.
Oh! That's a catch!
That's a catch!
That's a catch! Gone. That's a catch. Replay it, LeBron.